Hey there, very quick, the footage is just of me luma hunting in Saipats, so feel free to minimize and continue your own hunts. But anyway, let's get on with it. So, not too long ago, I made a video talking about Temtem's economy and what its future looks like. Now this time around, I'm going to give potentially a hot take. I recently had some discussions on Temtem's Discord about how real money trading, or RMT for short, impacts the game. In order to give yourself the best chances of victory in competitive battles, you need to have perfectly bred Temtems, with perfectly allocated TV stats. Many have spoken out on the barrier to entry because of how expensive this can be, as you'd need to either breed your own team and train them, or buy from somebody else. Assuming that one high-tiered Tem sets you back anywhere from 25 to 35,000, and in some more extreme cases 50 to 60,000, you can see how somebody's Pansun wallet gets grabbed by the throat and strangled for everything it's worth. Top this off with tedious and very unsatisfying money-making methods, and it becomes quite a pain to simply become competitive in the first place. This is where RMT comes in and muddies up the water. Instead of going through all the boring steps to get into competitive, how about you just skip the queue and buy a Tem outright, on the spot for real cash? This eliminates all the time and effort of breeding your own or grinding Pansun to buy a full team. This kind of thing comes across as very appealing to players, especially ones who have less time to grind in the game and just want to get to the fun part, the battling. Now, not that I need to point this out, but I don't want to send mixed signals here. RMT is bad and strictly not allowed in the game, or most MMOs for that matter. The talk I had went over how RMT gives players a shortcut and invalidates a portion of the game that others have to take part in, the grind. So far, everybody needs to grind for their team, and it's unfair that some players can get away with buying theirs. Now, the game doesn't have any endgame PvE specific content yet, but we assume we'll be getting challenge towers or something similar, and who knows what else. So the RMT business also shares an impact on that aspect of the game as well, enabling you to purchase these Tems the quick and easy way. RMT also affects Lumas, currently the game's only luxury collectible. You can also just buy raw Pansun if you want, allowing you to purchase whatever costume or dye you want, or just 99 Tem card plus because you can. So clearly Creamer would need to do something about this, right? We can't have the player base accessing RMT and ruining the game's economy, skipping over hard work and invalidating the hard work of others. Sadly to say, Temtem isn't the first, nor will it be the last game to be inflicted by this. Every net has its holes, and regardless of how many hackers they detect or RMT traders they find, there will always be more. Players are encouraged to report it if they are offered it or see it advertised anywhere, but it will still endure. But now I want to share a potentially very controversial take with you, so please bear with it and hear me out. Let's imagine 2 years into the future. Temtem is finished, the final version is out, along with all of the dojos, Tems, and additional content that was originally planned. Cream are doing their best, have limited RMT as much as possible, but the issue remains in a slightly smaller form. The player base has stabilized out. At this stage, is it fair to say that some, if not most of the dedicated player base, have effectively finished Temtem? Every player will have their own goals to achieve within the game, but unlike other MMOs that are purposely designed to be never-ending, Temtem differs. It's a collection game. At some point, each player will have met their desired collection goal. Some players are driven to collect everything and finish the Tempedia. Some only want to engage with PvP and battle other players. But regardless of what takes your fancy, you will undoubtedly, eventually, obtain any and all Tems you desire. The collection aspect of the game comes to an end, just like with other similar games. Now that I've set everything up, I want to ask you a bit of a tough question. Once the game is established and everybody has collected what they want to, will RMT even matter anymore? Sure, people who embark on the tedious task of collecting every Luma might see issue with it, but most of the player base will simply collect their favorite Lumas and leave it at that. Once people obtain an array of competitive Tems and or Lumas, they remain forever. Tems aren't consumed at any point, so after a certain amount of time, every perfectly bred Tem will be in circulation and more easily obtained for cheaper. This would effectively reduce the necessity for large quantities of Pansun, and limit RMT as well. Now, I'm sure Kramer will throw in a bunch of uses for Pansun in the future, whether it be more costumes, cosmetic features, the mount system, or charging players to attempt challenge mode features. However, I don't think Pansun, and by extension the player-driven economy, will be as important in the future as it is during the early days. So please, let me know what your thoughts are on this. Do you think RMT is a problem now? Do you think it'll remain a big problem in the future if it stays? Also, what do you think about players finishing Temtem? Do you think we actually will get to a point where all the farming and grinding slows all the way down because everybody has what they want? Thank you so much for watching and sharing your time with me. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.